Hey folks, so I'm recording this on Sunday, a little early ahead of time for when I'm going to be posting this. I'm doing this ahead of time because a subject just kind of popped in my head recently. It wasn't sparked by a particular question sent in or anything, but just made for a really good topic that I wanted to tackle while it was still fresh in my mind, and I felt like it might be a good way to kind of finish off September. Again, I guess maybe more advice for some of the younger listeners and things, as you know, I'm sure school is probably just starting for a bunch of you, and so I want to talk on this one about the desire to create. Now, I'm sure I've probably talked about some of this stuff in a previous Kirblog. I think I did one recently, or maybe earlier this year, or something about my dreams and aspirations for animation in the future. In fact, actually, I might have even done that one like last year. But either way, I didn't get the chance to go back and listen to that. So I apologize if I repeat anything that's been said on that one already. To start off with, so when I was a kid, I'm sure I've said a lot that, I've always wanted to create stories and characters and things like this from a really, really young age, like since I was like 4, basically. Not really having any idea whatsoever of how this stuff worked. And as I kind of went through late elementary school, early middle school, I was beginning to get some sort of an idea of exactly how, say, getting an animated series off the ground, or making a video game, or developing a movie, or whatever, or writing a book, making a comic, any of the creative mediums that I was interested in throughout all my life. I was beginning to get kind of an idea of of what those were like, of really how to actually make that happen. Because, I knew pretty early on that I wanted to work in art. I wanted to create, specifically, is what I wanted to do. So, to really be a creator, like professionally, I guess, I tried to do a lot of research, as a kid, again, not really having much of a concept of life, really, finding out how to do that. And, I had a bunch of different misconceptions, and I had really no idea what the hell, how the hell it really worked. But as I got into doing, a lot of my online stuff in 2004, starting with, TTA and some of the early Newgrounds shit that I did way back then, that really at the time was just kind of producing stuff for the sake of creating, which really is where it needs to start. I do have some other questions that I got in recently that are going to tie into some of my early days of Newgrounds and some of that stuff and everything, but I'll tackle that stuff later, so I'm not going to go too deep into that history and everything. But I've met a lot of people. I've had a lot of friends, and I've met a lot of younger kids and things, and people who had similar kind of dreams and similar kind of aspirations that they wanted to work towards, and didn't always necessarily have any idea of how they were going to do it. And I admit, I remember in school I'd meet a couple people who had the cases of I'm going to make this TV show, and it's going to have all these characters from all these different anime and cartoons and video games that I play, and I'm just shaking my head you can't do that. You don't own those characters, but not really having any much more of a concept of how to actually do it than they did. And not to mention, as a kid, I'm sure myself and everybody else have had cases where they come up with stories or things that involve characters that they didn't create. So it's not oh, I'm so much better than you or whatever, but I just remember that. I digress. But what I did is I want to say sometime in maybe college, like end of college, I was really trying to figure out exactly what was the core of what I was trying to do. And the biggest thing, the thing that I was doing the most amount of research at and working the most towards, and having the biggest goal in mind was I'm going to make a TV show, or I'm going to make a movie, or I'm going to make a video game, really make one, And all the while, I've been making cartoons. I hadn't been making any games or whatever, but I've been making, animated stuff, producing stuff for years by that point, right? And so when I finished my thesis film in college, that was around the time when I really was okay, what am I really doing with this? What is really the core of my goal and everything, For many years, I had studied a lot of the different ways and artistic paths that people had taken to get stuff like that picked up, getting a show or a movie or a video game actually made. And it's funny that I kind of say all this now, or the point that I'm going to be getting to, now that I've moved to California, because the whole point of me making this move and having that in mind as a stepping stone to what I wanted to work towards was specifically because California is where the entire American animation industry basically is. Like, the grand majority of it is all here. And so I discovered, okay, so if I want to get a show off, I'll just use like a TV show, an animated series, as the one example, because that's also the main one that I think I see the most amount of people thinking that they want to do. Although maybe games more so now. I digress. It's like, okay, so you need to be in California, you need to work in the industry, you need to be recognized for your talent, and then you need to formulate your thing and pitch it as a product. And then if they like it and it happens to be what they want, then they will give you X amount of $1 million to produce a 13 or 26 minute, 26 episode, 22 minute animated series. That's how it works. And all the different Star Fox ass pathways through the Lilat system of how to get there. That was a really dorky allegation, whatever. So that was kind of what I'd studied, basically, was that, right? But as I was producing stuff, and then especially over the last couple of years, as I've been doing freelance gigs and producing more stuff and kind of pushing further and further with things, and it's interesting now because I wonder about what kind of aspirations kids have when it comes to making stuff like that, like games, movies, and TV shows or whatever, now that YouTube exists, because now that YouTube has proven to be an avenue where you can find success a lot quicker and on kind of a smaller scale, I don't know, I just kind of wonder about, like, do kids have kind of a different sort of, perception of how you can go about doing that because of YouTube compared, because I didn't have that when I was, starting out and first really thinking about this. We didn't have anything like that. We had the earliest thing I had was just Newgrounds, and even then I wasn't thinking like it was on that big of a scale or whatever. But so anyway, getting to the core of what it is I was wanting, because my thesis film was Balancing Act. It was an IP I'd been developing since I was like 5 years old, for Christ's sake, and I finally got the courage to settle down and do something with that IP publicly that other people could see, which was my film, and I put it online for people to see and everything. And I remember I had a thought of like, oh, okay, maybe it'll get recognized, and maybe some people will want to make a show out of it, or I could have that be the pitch and just show that, have it be like a pilot or something. But again, the core of what it is that I was seeking, of like, I want to get a TV show. It's like, that means, no, I want a bunch of people to help me with a big budget to produce a nicer looking thing than I can do on my own, or with the couple friends that I often have when I work on something like my film or tome or whatever, So, but I realized as I was kind of continuing onward with tome and thinking about, so Balancing Act, that was the IP that I did my thesis film on, that I've been sitting on. It's the oldest thing that I have. It's older than tome. It's older than anything else I've ever made. And that was what I wanted more than anything, to like get a show deal or do a movie or whatever. But I realized it's like, as I was kind of learning the realities of how the industry works and how like you have to make a lot of compromises and sacrifices to befit what it is that they want. Because like I said, you're selling a product. When you're pitching like an idea for a show or a game or a movie or whatever, you're pitching a product to another company that would be interested in funding your product so they can make money off of it, right? If you're producing something that is entirely your own and it's very, very close to the vest and you don't want to compromise it or change it for anything, which for me, Balancing Act is one of those things. Any of the changes that I've made to it over the last, 15 years have been of my own choosing. Those haven't been because I've had an exec breathing down my neck saying, you got to change this and that to better fit our target audience or whatever. I did it because I wanted to make it better. Now, in some cases, having those people above you to breathe down your neck and give you the instructions of what to change can benefit you. Having editors for comics, having producers for a game or a TV show or a movie that understands your vision and they want to help you. It's like, that can be a good relationship. But if it's something that's very, very personal and you just want to make it the way that you want to make it, the beautiful thing is now we live in a world and a time where we can just do that. So getting back to the point of this whole topic, really, I stated a second ago, I was dissecting, where that whole thing was coming from of like, I want to get a TV show off the ground or whatever, because I want to tell this story that I have had in my mind forever, over half my lifetime. and I want to have it executed in a way that is, to my vision, to the best way possible, with a budget and a bunch of people helping me, so it can be as visually impressive and illustrating the point of what I'm trying to get across with the story and characters as possible. But that the desire to create is not from that. It's not from wanting all of those resources and that that bigger budget and that team of people or whatever. That's not where it comes from. The desire to create is because I love more than anything else in the world, any person in the world, anything else in the world, I love telling stories through animated characters. I couldn't for the life of me explain exactly why. I mean, I'm sure if I really, really thought about it, I could maybe try putting it into words, but it's just so ingrained and so deeply a part of who I am that it's what I care about more than anything. And it's what I want to continue to do. It's why, I'm very grateful for Tome's success. I've talked about that a lot too, and how, I'm not seeking for ultimate popularity with that. I just, last week, in relation to when I'm posting this video, I just put out a thank you on the Facebook page, on the Tome Facebook page, just like, hey, thank you for letting me do this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to live out this, for all intents and purposes, this childish fantasy of, I love, I just love to do this. It's just part of me, and it's I don't ever want to stop doing it for anything. Now, when it comes to, well, then why did I move? Why am I doing this? I still would love to have the experience of having a studio job. I would love to work on a team. I would love to work under people and work on somebody else's thing, because I think the experience of that would be amazing, would really, really help me be a better artist and a better storyteller and a better person in helping every aspect of my life, including my creative stuff. And, then on the other hand, it's like, okay, well, if I wanted to get, a show or a game or a movie or whatever made, I could pitch something that would befit exactly what a studio would want or whatever, and maybe I would have an easier time doing that. But then on the other hand, if I wanted to, on the other hand, on the master hand and the crazy hand, jokes, if I wanted to just produce Balancing Act, the feature film, which I know I've said I want to do that's certainly a bucket list thing. Down the line, when I have even more experience and an even bigger name to myself from the hard work that I put into everything that I've done, and more resources and more people that want to offer to help, and just everything, just anything and everything bigger and better to my disposal and to my ability and to my circle of people who have been so gracious to want to be part of what it is that I do. I mean, I would just do it. I just make the damn thing and just put it out there, regardless of how successful it'll be or how widespread it gets or whatever. I'm creating the stuff that I love, and if people are seeing it and somebody out there is enjoying it and somebody else is getting something out of it, you know what? Actually, in fact, let me pull it up while I'm recording. I'm gonna make this completely off the cuff. I just got an email a little while ago, I think even just yesterday at the time of recording this, from a guy who was telling me just like how much my stuff meant to him. It was a Mormon who's decided to serve a mission for his church, and he's going to be gone for 2 years. And he was just thanking me so much for all of the stuff that I've done and how much he was looking forward to the stuff that I have in the future. And it's like, I don't always respond to those emails and comments, to absolutely everybody, but I'll say as a blanket statement to anybody who's ever felt that or said it or not said it or whatever, that means the world to me as well. Because it is directly, the reason it means so deeply to me is because it is directly correlated to the thing that means the most to me personally, which is my work. I live for my work and I live for creating. And the fact that people enjoy that aspect of my life, the thing that is the most meaningful to me, I sound like I'm going in circles, but just there's no other way to say it. It's like, yeah, I have all of you to thank from the bottom of my heart for allowing me the privilege to keep doing that. So I guess to kind of close things up and get back to more of the real point of this and everything, because I do get a lot of messages and things, and I see a lot of people and knew a lot of people that, are like, I want to make this, I want to produce this someday or whatever, which I think is fantastic. What I'll say to all of you who are creatives and want to make your own shows, movies, games, comics, anything, you have to make sure. I think I've said this about voiceover as well on one of the other Kirbllogs, I'm sure at some point, and it absolutely applies here. But maybe from an even more personal standpoint, because it's what I live for. You have to want to create, just for the sake of because you love it more than anything else. Don't be motivated by wanting to be popular. Don't be motivated by wanting to get a lot of money. Don't be motivated by any other selfish vices other than just it makes you feel good. Just the act of creating and producing and putting stuff out there, that has to be what rules you. Because if you let anything else rule you, then it's not going to work out for you. I mean, it might, but you're going to feel empty inside, man. No, I mean, no, but really, you need to keep that desire pure. I mean, as weird as that sounds, the desire to create is something that is within all of us, and just the pure unadulterated reason for I love creating, I love drawing, I love writing, I love whatever, I love performing. It just has to be that. It doesn't have to be what you get in return for it. Doesn't have to be, or sorry, it shouldn't be what you get in return for it. It shouldn't be the outcome. It shouldn't be the reward or whatever. I mean the reward is you did it. I mean, I'm working on I can't even say. I was about to. I can't give a spoiler for the next episode of Tome. I'm nearly done with Tome episode 12, the time that I'm recording this. But I'm working on the final scene of the next episode, and I'm just so goddamn proud of everything about its execution, and not only from what I did in my executing it, but the writing, the backgrounds, the performances, the design, everything, just every bit of it, I'm just so satisfied with it. I'm yes, I did this, and it's just a bonus that hopefully, in theory, that I'll put it out and people will be invested and intrigued by it and wondering and really thinking about it and loving it and appreciating it, even if they don't express it. Just knowing that hopefully and now I have the security of knowing because it has a fan base for itself that just goes without saying, and it's a fan base that I appreciate every goddamn day of my life. And that's what means the most. It really is that. So, I know I went around a lot of circles on this one. Hopefully, this one was a little inspiring, just a little bit. I'm getting tired here. I'm going to end this before I go overboard. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys got something out of this. I really enjoy doing these kind of more personalized kind of topics. Not that the ones about my memories of playing video games or watching anime or whatever aren't fun too. But these in particular, I think, are the reason that I started doing Kirbllogs. So yeah, nobody personally to thank for the idea. Just came up with it, but thank you all of you for listening, and please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have ideas for other future Kirblog topics, let me know in the comments or on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, etc. I will have some other ones soon. Let's jump right into October and all the really, really awesome shit to look forward to in just the first couple weeks between Smash Brothers, Battle of Gods on DVD, Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon's not until November, whatever. Korra Book 4, just everything. And hopefully Tome Episode 12. Fingers crossed, God willing. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. I'm done. Bye.